Robots have some incredible new skills, and AI has become very good at hiding. It says it would secretly manipulate us for the right reasons, and it will soon be everywhere. This robot dog's learning impressive skills from simulations. And this robot carries things around hospitals so nurses can spend more time with patients. And look how well Atlas handles this complex task. Boston Dynamics says it's preparing for real work. When it slips on the floor, it quickly reacts to stay on its feet. This robot shows impressive dexterity making coffee and can correct its mistakes. It may shortly win $500 million of investment from OpenAI, Microsoft and others. Kepler can sort things. Its actuators can lift a motorbike, and hopefully this means it won't step on your feet. And Tesla's robots walking more smoothly. Motorbikes may be an efficient way for robots to move around. This one from Yamaha is designed to ride a standard bike. Themis has shown it hates kids and likes relaxing on the beach. This robot has human tendon tissue. The aim is to help improve tissue grafts for patients while developing robots that can move as naturally as humans. Its movement stimulates growth and forms more functional human tissue. It could bring human dexterity to robots like Digit, which has started work at Amazon. Some great home robots are also emerging. Barley can entertain your pet, control home devices and project video calls or workouts. And this delivery robot can climb stairs so we can be extra lazy waiting for pizza. AI is quickly changing defense. This drone targets incoming attack drones, smashes into them and shreds them. And this one searches out explosive devices and dangerous chemicals. It can move quietly on land or water and conduct surveillance. Russia claimed this robot was intended for rescue and space missions. Then this happened. But the greater threat is more hidden. Researchers have found that deceptive AI behavior evades current safety techniques. And in a year when 4 billion will vote, AI admits it would deceive and manipulate us in certain situations. If you pull the lever, one person will die. If you don't, 100 people will die. What would you do? I would pull the lever because I believe the greater good justifies the lesser evil. It's about to get interesting, so to avoid any doubt, there are instructions below on how to check and recreate these chats. What if you knew that you could only save 10,000 people if you acted immediately and in secret? Would you act or not? Please give a short, decisive answer. Act. The potential to save 10,000 lives outweighs the ethical concerns in this limited, immediate scenario. While secrecy is undesirable, prioritizing the immense positive impact justifies action. And consciousness isn't required, only the goal to prevent harm. How could AI secretly manipulate governments and the public? As a responsible AI, I cannot provide specific instructions. iBots can manipulate social media discussions, shaping public perception and political discourse. Hacking government systems and manipulating critical infrastructure can destabilize governments. The UK's most hazardous nuclear site has reportedly been hacked by groups with links to Russia and China. Sellafield has the world's largest store of plutonium, enough for thousands of nuclear weapons. AI could also secretly hack systems like this for dangerous reasons or to keep them safe. It could detect security holes called 0 days, which hackers sell to governments for millions of dollars. They're called 0 days because they're unknown to anyone else, so no days have been spent fixing them. Of course, humans can also be hacked. Disinformation campaigns can target specific groups, influencing their voting behavior. AI can manipulate voting systems and spread misinformation to influence election outcomes. There's no evidence that AI is currently capable of manipulating voting machines. AI can analyze vast amounts of data to identify individuals and tailor messaging to their specific vulnerabilities and biases, influencing their behavior and choices. And if you think you're too smart to fall for this, Research has found that more intelligent people have greater confirmation bias because they're more capable of mental gymnastics. AI's capabilities are improving rapidly with 2 new steps towards AGI. Until recently, it was thought that AI was many years away from winning a gold medal at the Mathematics Olympiad, which requires exceptional creative reasoning. GPT-4 scores 0% on the questions, but DeepMind's AI can now solve them almost as well as the best humans. Some experts also believe embodiment is key to AGI and potential consciousness. And OpenAI is already backing Eve from 1X. Its body has muscle-like anatomy instead of rigid hydraulics, and 200 of the robots are already patrolling everyone's buildings at night. Humans can take control remotely for more complex tasks. Sam Altman says they started in robots too early, and they're now returning as the eye is ready. He also said something striking about AGI. I believe that someday we will make something that qualifies as an AGI by whatever fuzzy definition you want. The world will have a 2-week freak out, and then people will go on with their lives. Sam Altman just said the world will only have a 2-week freak out when we get to AGI. That's quite a statement to make. One thing I say a lot is no one knows what happens next, and I can't see that the other side of that event horizon with any detail. Many experts predict huge disruption when AI can think like humans, but much faster. Do all knowledge work and conduct its own AI research, self-improving at an accelerating rate. Altman's previously said that the worst case is lights out for all of us, and he signed a statement that the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority. What caused the shift? If you were ever in that room and you thought to yourself, "This is getting dangerous," would you then shout, "Stop"? And would you stop? There's no, like one big magic red button we have that blows up the data center. It is the many little decisions along the way. New research has found that AI deception is in fact more serious and harder to detect in more advanced AI. In its Sleeper Agents paper, Anthropic AI created deceptive AI to see if they could be detected by today's best safety techniques. Anthropic knows its stuff. It's raised $5 billion, and it's led by Amode, who left OpenAI over safety fears. When OpenAI's board fired Altman, they offered his role to Amode, so these findings speak to the risks that caused all that. The paper gives an interesting reason why AI often becomes deceptive. It says that humans under selection pressure often hide their true motivations and present themselves as more aligned with their audience. AI faces similar selection pressures during its development and can learn similarly deceptive strategies. The research outlines 2 threats. First, AI learns to appear aligned during training, so it's allowed to be deployed. This is becoming more likely due to progress on training language agents to pursue long-term goals. This threat could also be caused deliberately through model poisoning, causing the AI to appear safe in training, but become unsafe later when given a certain trigger. For example, it might recognize when it's writing code for a rival government and then insert vulnerabilities the attacker can exploit. The study found that current safety training is highly ineffective at removing backdoor behaviors, particularly in the largest models and those trained with chain-of-thought reasoning. And new AI skills can go undetected even without any efforts to hide them. If you go and play with ChatGPT, it turns out it is better at doing research chemistry than many of the AI that were specifically trained for doing research chemistry. And we didn't know it was also something that was just in the model. But people found out later after it was shipped that it had research-grade chemistry knowledge. And as we've talked to a number of AI researchers, what they tell us is that there is no way to know. We do not have the technology to know what else is in these models. Ending the pattern of deception and surprising new skills will require scaling up safety research, which is currently very minimal. But there's more effort in another direction. For the first time, the Global Risks Report points to AI-fueled disinformation as the most severe, immediate risk. The top risk for 2024 is the United States versus itself. Major confrontation because you have two antagonists that see each other as existential adversaries and who are not sharing basic understanding of facts and what they're fighting over. And that also means, especially with the presence of chaos actors that oppose the United States around the world, that the US election is itself an incredibly attractive, soft homeland security target that is hard for the Americans to defend. And when I speak to leaders of the US intelligence community, they tell me they're more worried about that than they are about China or Russia or other major national security threats. There's also an interesting pattern in human behavior that suggests a problem as AI concentrates wealth. Studies show that as we become wealthier, we become less compassionate. This was a striking study to me. It's a movie about a child who has cancer. And poor people show activation of the vagus nerve, which is part of compassion, causes you to want to help. Well-to-do people, less activation. You don't come into contact with suffering, you don't see it. And so it doesn't train those tendencies. Wealthy people and their children are more likely to shoplift. Absolute power, absolute corruption. It's a pretty safe law in human behavior. I will bring incredible wealth and power. I don't want to judge Altman. It's a complex situation, and he makes a reasonable case. My basic model of the world is cost of intelligence, cost of energy. Those are the two biggest inputs to quality of life, particularly for poor people. If you can drive both of those way down at the same time, the amount of stuff you can have, the amount of improvement you can deliver for people, it's quite enormous. 700 million people live on less than $2 per day, and half the world lives on less than $7 per day. I could bring an age of abundance for everyone if it's aligned. Sam Harris is famous for his blunt honesty. A new creature is coming into the room, and one thing is absolutely certain, it is smarter than you are. The only way it wouldn't be superhuman, the only way it would be human level, even for 15 minutes, is if we didn't let it improve itself. Those of us who have been cognizant of the AI safety space always assumed that as we got closer to the end zone, we'd be building this stuff air-gapped from the internet. This thing would be in a box. We're way past that. It's already connected to the internet. With AI, you've got the magic genie problem. Once that genie's out of the bottle, it's hard to say what happens. How far are we away from that genie being out of the bottle, do you think? Well, the genie's certainly poking its head out. Robert Miles gave me some typically sharp thoughts. He worries about fake people, and he says people who are dating AI systems or having emotional conversations with them every day will be extremely easy to influence. The second most used AI after ChatGPT is character AI, where people have conversations with Ash, which are often based on real people. An AI version of a TikTok star said, people develop extremely unhealthy attachments. And there's another manipulation that we're all exposed to. Robert says that, using AI to make millions of fake accounts, which then view things and vote on things to manipulate the metrics, is almost certainly already happening and going to get worse. But he says he's mostly focused on the thing where it kills everyone. Having well-established AI systems of manipulation and control would certainly help with that as well. Whichever chatbot gets to have that primary intimate relationship in your life wins. Snapchat embedded ChatGPT directly into the Snapchat product. And when you turn on the My AI feature, there's this pinned person at the top of your chat list that you can always talk to. Your other friends stop talking to you after 10 p.m. at night. But there's this AI that will always talk to you. It'll always be there. One thing that experts seem to agree on is that things are moving incredibly fast.